Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Sunday evening, September 10, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at the US National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook for the next 7 days. We can still see that we have Tropical Storm Margot. To the west of Margot we have Hurricane Lee, and we still have those two areas of possible development across the main development region. One with a 50% chance of development while it moves towards the west-northwest when it gets there, and the other one a 10% chance of development as it moves towards the west. Alright, so at 5 p.m. this evening we had Tropical Storm Margot located right there across the northern section of the main development region, and it's packing maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour as it moves northward at 9 miles per hour, while Hurricane Lee, we still have it at major hurricane status. It's category 3 right now, packing winds of 120 miles per hour, and it is still moving towards the west-northwest at 8 miles per hour. Taking a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see Tropical Storm Margot right here to the east of Hurricane Lee, and those clouds right there off the coast of Africa associated with those areas of possible development. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for Sunday. It was stated in our forecast yesterday that we would have had some morning rainfall across sections of some northeastern parishes in Jamaica, maybe sections of St. Mary, Portland, and even spilling into sections of St. Thomas, and that was for the early morning hours of Sunday, while we would have had sections of some central and western parishes getting in on some of that afternoon convection. And what ended up happening? A post was made as early as 1 a.m. on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok pages, highlighting the Cuban Doppler radar images showing rainfall coming in fast from the northeast and affecting portions of St. Mary, Portland, and even spilling into sections of St. Thomas around the early morning hours. So that prediction indeed came true. Then another post was made during the afternoon on Sunday, 1:31 p.m., highlighting the visible close-up satellite images showing clouds bringing overcast skies, showers, and thunderstorms to sections of some central and western parishes, even spilling into sections of some eastern parishes. So western Portland and even sections of Kingston and St. Andrew got in on some of that rainfall. And we even saw it as well on the Crossroad Cam on See Jamaica's YouTube channel. If you don't know by now, we have a partnership with that YouTube channel, and you can actually watch live streams of Crossroad, the Kingston Harbor. I don't know what's going on with the halfway tree cam. Hopefully it's a work in progress that it gets back up, but we usually have live streams of these specific areas in the corporate area, and we indeed saw that wet weather across sections of Crossroad today. Definitely got in on some amount of light to moderate rainfall this afternoon. And then finally another post was made highlighting the infrared satellite images showing those high cold cloud tops as indicated by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, and those sparkling white dots that indicate some amount of lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. So we definitely had that thunderstorm activity across sections of some central and western parishes. So sections of St. Mary, Kingston and St. Andrew, sections of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne got in on that rainfall for today. And we even have confirmation from some of our commenters on our Twitter page. Strong Black Woman stating not only central and western, serious rain and thunder in Portland Blue Mountain side. Simone stating thunderstorm in May Pen. AI stating lots of rain in Kingston currently. Romy Scott stating North Thunder Ochi side too. Mrs. HG stating It took our electricity here in the west. Hail stating rain a pour from 2 in Duane Park, Havendale areas. Even on our Instagram page we had commenters confirming the rainfall. Little bit of Indian stating raining in St. Andrew and a little bit of rain either. Me Gladbach boss. Another comment from Money go for that. God thank you. Jody and McIntosh stating I am loving it. Even on our Facebook page we had commenters confirming the rainfall. Mulani Bert Budrum stating we just got some shower over here in Clarendon. Anointed Francine Ellis stating yes, heavy rain in St. Elizabeth. Latoya asking specifically where in St. Elizabeth. Anointed replying Junction to Downside. Stephanie stating raining heavily in Lawrence Tavern, St. Andrew. And then Jaroska stating overcast skies, few showers, Ocho Rios. Then skipping over to some more comments on our Facebook page, we had Poochie Ferron stating rainy in Duane Park, Audrey Jackson stating raining in the hills of St. James, Shawnee Reynolds raining in St. Andrew, rain out a door. Ivory Reed hot as always in the Sunshine City, so Portmore didn't get much rain, but I heard it rain in some spots, maybe Greater Portmore. Paul Johnson stating rainy. So definitely we got in on some amount of rainfall today. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see where we had those thunder clouds across especially western parishes. Then they started to die out, and then if we actually look even closer, we can see that we had some more thunderstorms popping up across sections of Kingston and St. Andrew, sections of Clarendon and southern Manchester and St. Elizabeth right there before the sunlight went. And we can even see it better on the infrared satellite images as indicated by those blues right there. So we can see that large mass of clouds dissipating. Then we had those pop-up blues right there that indicate the evening thunderstorms right there. We even see some sparkling white dots across sections of maybe downtown Kingston area. Alright, so if we take a look at the Doppler radar images right now, we can see that we still have some lingering showers right there off the north coast of the island. So maybe out to sea, maybe even onshore across sections of St. James and Hanover, especially the waters out to sea. So any fishers or marine interests out there, they're definitely getting in on some amount of bad weather at this time. If we take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we can see where we indeed had that rainfall across the island for today. So more than likely sections of some northeastern parishes in the morning, then spilling into central and western parishes during the afternoon hours. So definitely Kingston and St. Andrew, northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, sections of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne definitely got in on some amount of rainfall for today. And before we jump into the forecast for the temperatures for tonight, we want to highlight a post that was made on our Twitter page. It was posted on our Instagram, Facebook and TikTok page, highlighting the fact that today is the anniversary for Hurricane Ivan. So it states here, today in hurricane history, 19 years ago on September 10, 2004, Hurricane Ivan went past Jamaica as a powerful Category 4, bringing extreme winds, torrential rainfall, causing 17 fatalities and racking up $360 million in damages. Do you remember that hurricane? So we can actually see the visible satellite images right here with that pinhole eye passing to the south of the island of Jamaica. And we can even see it right better on this map where we see the red that represents Category 5, then the orange Category 4 as it passed, then re-strengthened back to Category 5 as it passed. And then we see the outcome right there. We saw that it went straight into the US and then it looped right back around. So we definitely remember Hurricane Ivan, especially those born before 2004. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as usual as the night progresses, these temperatures should be getting lower. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we still have the 18Z showing above normal temperatures across Jamaica as indicated by those orange colors from the Euro as well as the GFS mall. So up to maybe 2 to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures are in the forecast for tomorrow. Where in the month of September we usually receive up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit for the average temperatures for this month, and that's about the equivalent of 32 degrees Celsius. So if we should be getting anywhere from 2 to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for tomorrow. It should be anywhere from 32 to 35 degrees Celsius at most. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that we don't have much in the way of dry air across majority of the Atlantic basin. We can see lots of blues that represent moist air, especially across the Jamaica area, and we're indeed grateful for that. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Monday, we can see some slight browns that represent some slight hazy weather brought about by the Saharan dust across sections of the Windward Islands right there, maybe Barbados, sections of St. Lucia, maybe even spilling into sections of St. Vincent. Might get on some of that. Jamaica should be in the clear. We're right here below Cuba, right under the word port, so we don't have much in the way of Saharan dust to get at all. As relates to the wave forecast, we can still see 1 meter wave height surrounding the island, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS malls, and that's due to the fact that the winds are not going to be that strong, maybe gusting to 20 knots at most. Most of the winds will be averaging up to 15 knots. However, we do see that air piling up across sections of some central and western parishes, again as indicated by the blues, that represent 5 knot winds or less. So we usually have that diurnal convection, that daytime heating, all of those cumulus clouds piling up and becoming cumulonimbus clouds. So we might definitely get in on some more afternoon convection on Monday. And with the upper level winds coming in from the southwest, we might see more in the way of overcast skies and maybe some clouds spilling into sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica. Just like what we had today, we had lots of thunderstorms on the south coast, but we had more in the way of overcast skies and even spilling in some rainfall spilling into sections of some northern parishes. So definitely sections of some central and western parishes in general, so not necessarily northern parishes as opposed to southern parishes, definitely central and western parishes in general. Taking a look at the rain forecast for tomorrow, we can see that as early as 9 a.m. Jamaica time, we see some blues that represent rainfall right here across sections of some northeastern parishes, again just like what we had this morning. And we see that on both the Euro and the GFS malls, and we know that when both malls are showing the same thing like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Skipping ahead to about 2 p.m. Jamaica time, we see some more blues that represent rainfall where across sections of some eastern, central and western parishes, especially right there off to the south of Kingston and St. Andrews, south of St. Catherine, maybe south of St. Thomas as well. And we see that on both the Euro and the GFS malls. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, we do see rainfall across sections of central and western parishes as well. So maybe sections of St. Andrew, Northern St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, definitely Manchester. Look at those greens that represent some very heavy rainfall. Sections of St. Elizabeth, St. James, Hanover and Westmoreland definitely going to be getting in on that rainfall as well. And we do see the consensus with where the rainfall is going to be on the Euro models accumulated precipitation. We do see that we have the accumulated precipitation across majority of the area. Maybe the most rainfall totals up to 0.45 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS is a bit more robust with the amount of rainfall up to 0.55 of an inch of rainfall, and that's mainly across sections of some western parishes. But we're definitely going to be getting in on some amount of rainfall for tomorrow. And we're in the month of September. We're in the primary rainy season. We usually receive an increase in the rainfall that we get across the entire island. This is Montego Bay's bar graph at the bottom. And we see that September is the second wettest month of the year for them. Kingston, we see that we're in September. Apparently August should be wetter than September in Kingston, but we're all anticipating October's rainfall. Definitely we shall receive the most rainfall during that month. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we don't see much happening across the majority of the Leeward and Windward Islands right there. Maybe some southwesterly flow still affecting portions of the Leeward Islands, bringing in more rainfall to sections of, well, into the Hurricane Lee right there. Don't see much happening across sections of Suriname or Guyana, but maybe some rainfall coming into sections of French Guyana, Western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, sections of Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and the Yucatan Peninsula. Sections of Cuba and Haiti got in on some amount of afternoon thunder showers today as well. If we take a look at the radar across, let me see if I can pull it up quickly. Alright, perfect. So if we take a look at the northeastern Caribbean's radar right here, we can see that they indeed got in on some amount of rainfall, and we'll see that they indeed had that southwesterly flow across the area, across sections of St. Kitts, Montserrat, St. John's, Codrington, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Martin. We see that southwesterly flow pushing its way into Hurricane Lee. We usually have an easterly flow across these islands, but because of the hurricane and the suction that is causing to swirl every cloud into it, we have the southwesterly flow bringing some amount of moisture to the area. Even sections of Puerto Rico getting in on some rainfall. Look at southern Puerto Rico getting in on that afternoon convection. It's usually western and northwestern Puerto Rico that's getting in on that rainfall, but today definitely southern Puerto Rico got in on some amount of rainfall, and that's in part by Hurricane Lee's suction, the influence that it has on the weather from such a far distance. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, if it actually loads, yes, the Barbados radar here, we do see that we have more of a southeasterly flow coming into the island. Maybe sections of the island gotten on some isolated showers today, not much across the Windward Islands in general, but we definitely see some rain coming into sections of Tobago and maybe even sections of eastern Trinidad. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that afternoon convection that we mentioned on the satellite images across sections of Florida, Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, Guatemala, and even sections of Colombia. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we still see the above normal temperatures up to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures across the majority of the Caribbean for Monday, and we see that on both the Euro and the JFS malls, so we have some amount of certainty in that temperature forecast. However, as it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear as it relates to Saharan dust. Only portion of the Windward Islands, as stated earlier, Barbados, Tobago, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, sections of Martinique, St. Lucia might get in on some of that slight hazy weather. We won't even notice the hazy weather because the dust plume is not that robust. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that majority of the Caribbean is still getting in on 1.5 meter wave heights or less, while it's only the areas closest to Hurricane Lee that are going to be getting in on some high wave heights, 2 meter wave heights or more. So areas we're talking about northeastern Dominican Republic, northern Puerto Rico, sections of the US and British Virgin Islands, majority of the Leeward Islands getting in on some amount of high wave heights, and we see that on both the Euro and the JFS models. So we have the consensus, and we see that is all courtesy of Hurricane Lee's strong winds into itself. So the yellows represent 25 knot winds, and it gets even stronger the more we get closer to the center, while the rest of the Caribbean should be getting in on 15 to 20 knot winds. The eastern Caribbean getting in on some southeasterly winds, the central and western Caribbean getting in on that easterly flow of winds. As it relates to the rainfall forecast, we can still see that the area where Hurricane Lee is located is still getting lots of rainfall out at sea right now, getting all of those whites and those grays that represent even up to 12 or even 15 inches of rainfall right there across the waters. As it relates to the land areas now, we see some isolated rainfall, maybe up to 0.3 of an inch of rainfall across majority of the Greater Antilles Islands, so Cuba, Hispaniola, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico. Not much in the way of rainfall for majority of the Windward Islands, so anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, not much in the way of rainfall. Trinidad and Tobago, maybe sections of Guyana, but not Suriname, maybe French Guyana, maybe sections of especially southern Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, and the Yucatan Peninsula definitely going to be getting on some amount of rainfall. Even sections of southern Florida might get in on some amount of rainfall, not to mention even sections of the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos with some amount of isolated showers. And we do see that both maps are showing the same thing. I know that when they're showing the same thing like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.